My dear, sweet child of the earth, let me tell you something your grandmama knew and your ancestors whispered through the leaves. Salt, yes, simple, ordinary salt, has power. Not the kind you find in heavy books or universities, no. But the kind that dances in the soul, the kind that cleanses wounds and preserves what is holy. In the hush of your home, in that sacred corner where the light falls soft and your spirit rests easy, put salt. Just a pinch, a small mound, a humble prayer. Oh, child, come close and listen gently. There is something ancient I need to tell you. Not something new, no. Not something found in the latest glossy magazine or whispered by celebrities on brightly lit stages. No, this is older than fashion, older than even your grandmother's Bible. This is truth worn smooth by time, rubbed raw by suffering, and yet still shining like the morning star. I am speaking of salt, humble, holy salt. Now, don't you go thinking I mean just what sits on your kitchen table or hides in the back of your pantry. No, beloved, I mean salt is sacred. Salt is a witness. Salt is a keeper of secrets and a protector of peace. You see, salt has walked this world longer than kings and presidents. It has seen empires rise and fall, lovers kiss and part, babies born and buried. And all the while it stayed faithful, always ready, always waiting. There is something so divine about the simplest things, and salt, bless it, is one of them. The world thinks power comes in noise, in thunder, in flashing lights and breaking news. But I've lived long enough to tell you real power is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself. It rests, firm and sure, just like salt. You may forget it's there, but you'd sure notice if it were gone. Salt has long been the guardian of life. Before there were refrigerators or freezers, before we wrapped meat in plastic or kept milk on ice, there was salt. Salt kept life from spoiling. It preserved the sacred. And that, my dear, is no small thing. That is holy work. Your ancestors, your great-grandmothers and their mothers before them, they knew this. When they laid their babies down in tiny cribs and prayed over them with tears in their eyes, they might have tucked a little salt under the crib or behind the door. Not because they were superstitious, but because they understood the language of the earth. They knew that salt could speak where words could not. Salt could bind and bless, shield and sanctify. And do not think this is a truth buried only in black history or old folk rituals. No, no. You will find salt in temples and tabernacles, in the corners of mosques and under altars in ancient cathedrals. The Jewish people called it the covenant of salt, a symbol of endurance and divine promise. Jesus himself said, "You are the salt of the earth." Not diamonds, not gold, salt. Because salt is faithful, salt stays. Salt works even when you don't see it working. That's the kind of power I want in my life. Quiet, sure, steady power. The kind that doesn't need applause or permission. Just a little corner. Just a small space. And baby, you'd better believe, it will change everything. You may wonder how something so small can carry so much. But remember, it's the smallest seeds that become the tallest trees. It's the whisper that starts the revolution. And it is the grain of salt, yes, that tiny crystal, that can shift the entire spirit of a room. Have you ever walked into a place and felt the air just rung? No one said a word, but the atmosphere was heavy. Maybe folks smiled, but it didn't reach their eyes. The room was filled with ghosts, not of the dead, but of disappointment, envy, fear. That's when salt becomes your quiet companion. Not to hurt, but to cleanse. Not to wound, but to warn. When you place salt in a sacred corner of your home, you are drawing a line. You are saying to the universe and all who enter, this space is not for sale. This spirit is not to be trifled with. This house belongs to peace. And let me tell you, child, peace is a precious thing. It is not cheap. It must be fought for and preserved. Salt does that work. Silently, faithfully, relentlessly. Salt does not entertain. Salt does not flatter. Salt does not change with trends or bend under pressure. Salt remains. And isn't that what we all need in our lives? People, rituals, truths that remain, that do not betray us when storms come or when joy is scarce, that stand when we can't, that protect us when we are too tired to protect ourselves. I have seen it with my own eyes. A woman, worn and weary, poured salt into the corners of her home and prayed. Just a soft whisper, no louder than a hum. She didn't have much, just her faith, her sorrow and her salt. And baby, wouldn't you know it? Slowly but surely the heaviness lifted. Not all at once, no. But the anger that used to rise in her kitchen found no place to rest. The fear that used to sit on her couch lost its grip. And one day she laughed again. Real, from the belly laughter that shook the walls and made her plants dance on the windowsill. Don't you underestimate what is sacred just because it is simple. Salt, my love, is sacred because it knows. It knows how to heal. It knows how to hold on. It knows how to draw out the bad without harming the good. It is wisdom you can touch. Power you can hold in your palm. So the next time you pass by your spice rack or stir your pot of beans, pause for just a moment. Look at that salt with new eyes. Know that what you hold is not just seasoning. It is story, it is spirit, it is strength. And when you take it in your hand and place it gently into that sacred corner of your house, don't just toss it and walk away. No. Place it with reverence, with intention. Speak over it. Bless it. Let your soul rise up and tell the world, this is holy ground. This is where peace lives. This is where I rest, and I will not be moved. Because salt, sweet child, doesn't just flavor your food. It flavors your faith. It preserves your peace. And it guards your grace. Always has, always will. My darling heart, let me say this plain and strong so that your spirit hears it louder than your ears ever could. In your home is not just where you lay your head. It is where your soul takes refuge. It is the temple of your becoming, the garden where your peace blooms, the altar where your prayers rise like smoke into heaven. Your home, yes, your home is holy ground. It is sacred, not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. And that alone is enough to make it worthy of honor. Too many of us walk around this life exhausted, misunderstood, wounded by the world outside, looking for a place to exhale. We search for sanctuary in other people's arms, in crowded rooms, in places where the music is too loud and the lights too bright. But let me tell you this. Beloved, your sanctuary has been waiting on you all along. It's not down the road. It's not across the ocean. It's right there in the quiet corners of your own home. There is something holy about a space that is claimed with love and guarded with intention. The world can be cruel. Life, oh yes, life can batter your soul like rain on a tin roof. But when you step into a home that has been tended to with reverence, a home where peace is not a guest but a resident, the weight begins to lift. Just a little. Just enough. It's in that space that you remember. You belong to something greater. You were not created to be tossed by every storm or bent by every wind. You were born for stillness. You were born to rest in peace that the world cannot give and cannot take away. When I say home, I don't mean a mansion with marble floors or a place that could be printed in the pages of a glossy magazine. No, baby. I mean wherever you find yourself. A one-bedroom apartment, a little country house, a room you rent, even a back porch that gets the morning sun. Whatever space is yours. That's the sacred ground I'm speaking of. But here's the thing, and don't you miss this, your home will not become holy just because you live in it. Oh no, holiness comes with intention. Peace comes by invitation. You must tend to your home like you would tend to a child, a friend, a fragile flower. You must speak to it. You must bless it. You must protect it. Not just from burglars or bad weather, but from bitterness, from gossip, from jealousy, from fear. That is where the salt comes in. Salt is not just about the corner. It is about the claiming of space, When you place salt in that sacred corner, you are not just doing a ritual. You are marking territory. You are telling the spirits that dwell unseen, this house is mine. This is where love lives. This is where grace flows. This is where no harm may enter. It's a declaration. It's a spiritual boundary line, drawn not with bricks but with belief. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat still in your home? Not to scroll, not to worry, not to plan, but just to be. To breathe in the air of your own space and say, "Thank you, Lord, for this sacred shelter." We get so busy trying to escape where we are, we forget to bless where we stand. But there is power, divine, ancient power, in presence. And presence is what makes a house a home. It's in the corner where the sunlight always finds a way to land. It's in the chair where your mother once sat or your child curled up and fell asleep. It's in the aroma of a meal cooked with tired hands but a loving heart. It's in the echoes of laughter that bounce off the walls and still linger in the silence. All of it, every piece of it, is sacred. That's why it matters where you put your salt. You don't just throw it in the corner like trash. No. You place it like a prayer. You offer it. You don't rush it. You don't do it half-heartedly. You slow down. You kneel, if your knees allow. And you whisper what your soul has been needing to say. This home is protected. This home is whole. This home is healed. And here's something you must remember, child. The outside world will never stop. It will scream and pull and twist you every which way. But when your home is holy, when it has been marked and maintained with peace, it becomes your shield. It becomes your resting place. And rest, true rest, is a revolutionary act in a world that wants you frantic. When your home is in order, your mind begins to quiet. When your home is blessed, your heart begins to open. And when your home is spiritually guarded, your soul begins to bloom. That's why we don't let just anyone walk through our doors and drop their chaos on our floors. That's why we turn off the television sometimes and light a candle. That's why we open the windows and let in the breeze. Let the Spirit sweep through like a mighty wind and cleanse the air. Because we know that home is not just a place to stay. It's a place to become. You become yourself in your home. You unfold. You shed what the world forces you to carry. You cry. You laugh. Pray. You rest. And in all of that becoming, your home becomes sacred too. So let your home hear your songs. Let it witness your stillness. Let it carry the scent of healing oils and the sound of scripture. Let your kitchen hum with gratitude. Let your bedroom be a sanctuary, not just a stopover. Let your hallway be a pathway of peace. Salt, simple as it seems, is just the beginning. It is the sign, the symbol, the start of the declaration. But it is your presence, your intention, and your devotion that makes your home what it is meant to be. So go on now, my dear. Don't wait for the house to be bigger or the furniture to be new. Don't wait for a special guest to make things sacred. You are the sacred guest. You are the Holy One walking those floors. You are the steward of peace. Let your home know it. Speak to it. Bless it. Place that salt with all the authority of your ancestors who survived and thrived and kept their homes holy even in the midst of storms. And when you do, when you truly bless your home as sacred ground, you will not have to tell people. They will feel it. They will walk through the door and feel the peace fall on them like soft rain. They will know this is no ordinary house. This is a temple. And you, beloved, are the keeper of its light. Ah, beloved, lean in close and hear me with the ears of your spirit, because what I am about to tell you is not found in textbooks or taught in crowded classrooms. This is old wisdom. This is soul wisdom. The kind of knowing passed down on porches and in whispers, in lullabies and bedtime prayers, in the rhythm of a rocking chair and the warmth of a Sunday dinner. It is the truth that your ancestors held in their hearts when the world refused to see their light. It is the sacred power of intention. You see, my dear, power doesn't always look like fire or thunder. It isn't always loud. Sometimes, the most powerful thing in the world is a quiet choice made in the stillness of dawn. Sometimes, the universe shifts not when we shoot, but when we decide, firmly, softly, deeply, that we are going to live with purpose. That's what intention is. It's a whisper that roars. It's the unseen hand shaping the visible world. When you place salt in a corner of your home, it is not the act alone that changes the air. It is the meaning behind it. The salt is simple, but your soul is not. You, with your tender wounds and tireless heart, are the true vessel of power. The salt listens to you. It moves in response to your will. And that will, baby, that will is sacred. Intention is the oil in the lamp, the spark that lights the candle, the breath that turns a thought into a prayer. Without it, our rituals are empty. Without it, our gestures are hollow. But when we move with intention, the heavens bend low to take notice. That is why your grandmother could sweep the floor in the morning and call it prayer. Why your grandfather could hum a gospel song while fixing the porch and angels would gather on the steps. Because they did it with intention, with purpose, with awareness of the divine. They were never just living. They were offering their lives to something higher. And you, my sweet soul, you are no different. When you wake up in the morning and say, "Peace will live here," you are not just speaking, you are commanding. When you walk through your rooms and say, "Love abides in this house," you are not just decorating your walls with words. You are decorating your life with power. You have been taught, perhaps, that intention is too soft, that it's just wishful thinking, that only action matters. But child, what good is action without direction? What good is motion without meaning? A train moving fast in the wrong direction only takes you farther from your destination, but a single step, taken with intention, can rewrite your whole story. That is why salt, humble, quiet, unassuming, can shift the atmosphere when placed with care. Not because it has magic, but because it has meaning, because you told it what to do. You placed it there not as a superstition, but as a declaration, a prayer, a spiritual line drawn in the sand, and the spirit world responds to that. Evil doesn't flee because you're loud. It flees because you're clear. It's not afraid of shouting. It's afraid of a soul who knows who she is. A soul who walks through her house and claims every inch with love and light. A soul who doesn't have to prove her power because she's rooted in it. Do you hear me? You don't have to earn the right to protect your space. You were born with that right. You don't have to beg the world to let you be whole. You are already whole. You just have to walk like it. You just have to speak like it. You just have to live like it. And that begins with intention. You can light a candle, but if your heart is chaotic, the flame will flicker and fade. You can say a prayer, but if your mind is scattered, your words won't find their way home. But if you pause, just for a breath, and center yourself, if you bring your heart and your spirit into alignment, and then place that salt, or speak that blessing, or say that prayer, well, baby, you've just moved heaven and earth. You see, it doesn't take much to shift a life. A whisper can part the clouds. A sigh can summon grace. One moment of deep, rooted intention can clear what years of noise could not. That's why you must be mindful. Don't just live. Live on purpose. Don't just move through your home. Bless it as you go. Don't just speak. Speak with power. Every time you enter a room, let your presence announce peace. Every time you prepare a meal, stir love into the pot. Every time you place salt in the corner, let it carry your prayer, may this home be protected. May my spirit be still. May my life be aligned with the divine. And then, trust, because when you move with intention, things begin to happen. Doors open. Heavy air becomes light. Arguments turn into conversations. Tears dry on cheeks that once seemed hopeless. You don't have to see it all at once. You just have to believe that the act, paired with intention, is enough. Because it is. This is how your ancestors made it through. They didn't have riches. They didn't have status. But they had intention. Every braid in a child's hair was an act of protection. Every hymn sung in the dark was an act of resistance. Every small ritual, a bit of salt, a bowl of water by the door, a Bible under the pillow, was a declaration: we may be wounded, but we are not broken. We may be weary, but we are still powerful, and so are you. So don't just place the salt. Bless it. Don't just clean the house. Consecrate it. Don't just go through your day. Move with meaning. You are not here by accident. You are not walking these rooms for nothing. You are a vessel of sacred power, and everything you do, everything, can be a holy act when done with love, with faith, and with full divine intention. So lift your head, child of glory. Walk through your home like it's the sanctuary it was meant to be. Place your salt. Speak your blessing. Align your heart with heaven. And then, just wait. Watch what happens next when your actions are wrapped in purpose, when your rituals are clothed in reverence, and when your spirit moves not in fear, but in faith. Because when intention leads the way, miracles follow without fail. Child, let me sit with you a moment, heart to heart, soul to soul, and tell you something that life's storms might made you forgetting. You have power in your hands. Power to change the air, to calm the storm, to sweeten the bitter. Power that doesn't come from riches or titles or anything a man can give you. No, beloved. This power is older than fear, deeper than sorrow, stronger than shame. It comes from the divine that lives inside you. And when you align that power with something so pure, so intentional, something like a pinch of salt in a sacred space, you don't just cleanse your house. You cleanse your life. Now, we've talked about how salt in the corner ain't just about superstition or ceremony. It's about setting boundaries in the spirit. But what happens when the cleansing begins? What happens when the very atmosphere around you begins to shift? Let me tell you. First, the silence in your home will change. You'll begin to notice that the quiet feels softer, fuller, like velvet against your skin. Not the silence of loneliness or waiting, but the kind of silence that's rich with peace. The kind of silence that invites your soul to unclench its fists. Suddenly, the background noise of anxiety you didn't even know was there begins to fade. You sit in a room and don't feel chased by the ghosts of your past anymore. You breathe deeper. You sleep better. You don't jump when the phone rings. That's the first sign. Peace comes in like a gentle guest and decides to stay. Then people start to fall away, not out of malice, but out of misalignment. That woman who always brought gossip wrapped in concern, she doesn't call as often. That cousin who drains your energy with every conversation, he stops showing up. That friend whose presence leaves you feeling smaller, not bigger, she quietly fades into the background. You didn't push them, you didn't send them away. But the energy around you, yes, the spirit of your space, started to say, this is sacred ground, and not every foot may tread here. And child, let me be clearing, that's not loss. That's release. That's protection. That's grace removing what your heart was too tender to let go of. When the air in your life is clean, the unclean cannot stay. It's not punishment. It's preservation. Salt doesn't just cleanse the space, it calls in truth. And when truth walks in, everything false has to walk out. Next, you'll find yourself drawn to different things. The music you used to tolerate. Too languid, too empty. You'll crave melodies that speak to your soul, words that remind you who you are. The shows you used to binge watch. Too violent, too vulgar. You'll want stories that uplift you, conversations that feed you, laughter that heals instead of masks the pain. Your tastes will change, not just in entertainment but in life. Suddenly, you want to clean not just because company's coming, but because your spirit can't rest in chaos anymore. You light candles not for aroma alone, but for atmosphere. You begin to understand why your grandmother would hum while she dusted, why she'd open the window and say, "Let this stale air out." She was cleansing more than dust, child. She was releasing heaviness. Salt in the corner is not just a placement. It's an invitation. It says to the divine, "Come in, dwell here, make this home a sanctuary, a refuge, a safe harbor for my weary soul." And when you open that door wide to peace, peace begins to rearrange everything. You won't even notice it at first. But one day you'll walk in after a long day, and the space will meet you like an old friend. No tension in your shoulders, no heaviness in your chest, just peace stretching her arms to embrace you. And then the blessings come. Oh yes, child, don't think God won't reward a soul that tends to their temple. Don't think the Spirit won't pour into a place where peace is honored. After the cleansing comes the clarity. After the clarity comes the alignment. After the alignment, baby, comes the overflow. Ideas start to come easier. You begin to see answers where before you saw only confusion. Opportunities find you. Resources flow to you. Your body starts to feel lighter. Your laughter comes quicker. Your tears, when they fall, cleanse instead of crush. You don't feel as rushed. You don't feel as afraid. You stop comparing yourself to others because you finally feel at home in your own life. You begin to pray, not just when you're desperate, but because you want to talk to God. You begin to dance, not because anyone's watching, but because your spirit needs to move. You begin to forgive, not because they apologized, but because your freedom matters more than their recognition. That, my darling, is what happens next. When you treat your space like sacred ground, when you clear it with salt and bless it with presence, your whole life begins to bloom. It's not magic, it's spiritual alignment. It's universal law. You become a magnet for goodness because you've made room for it. You stop tolerating what once tormented you because now you recognize peace as your birthright, not your luxury. And hear me now. This isn't just for women with quiet mornings and time to spare. No, baby. This is for the mother working double shifts, for the student sharing a noisy apartment, for the elder on fixed income. Wherever your feet rest, that is your temple. Whether it's a room, a corner, or just a chair by the window, clean it, bless it, speak life into it, and put your salt down with a prayer, saying, "Only love may dwell here, only peace may remain. All that is not of God must go," and watch. Oh, just watch what unfolds. So, child of grace, don't just decorate your house. Don't just organize it. Sanctify it. Don't just clean for the sake of company. Clean because your spirit lives there, because your dreams are birthed there, because your prayers rise from that floor. Don't wait for the world to give you peace. Create it. Declare it. Protect it. Because when peace lives in your home, it will begin to live in your mind. And when it lives in your mind, it will live in your choices. And when it lives in your choices, well, then it lives in your life. That is the power of salt. That is the power of intention. That is the mystery of cleansing. You don't just make room in your house. You make room in your soul for miracles to find you. Child.